Hello nerds and nerdettes, and welcome back to the channel where once again we have a new video for you guys. Today's video will serve as my month of October 2023 haul video. It's the video that I love shooting for you guys. It's the video that I think you guys really enjoy to watch, so I'm very excited to get into it. And I was able to capture a whale during this month, so I'm very excited to go over that. But for those of you that are interested in any of the books I'm about to mention, or any of the books that I've featured on my channel, you can use the channel sponsor, organicpricebooks.com. You can use the discount code STAYNERDY for $2 off your order, or when ordering 4 or more books, you can use the code STAYNERDY, ship it together, to get 5% off your order. It's a great way to help support the channel. Every little bit matters, and you get to support the awesome company Organic Price Books, so thank you for that. But without further ado, let's jump into the haul. For those of you that have not watched my haul videos before, I will go over briefly that typically how I like to start is with manga, and then I work my way into indie or smaller publishers, and I typically wrap up the video with the big two, Marvel and DC. This month, unfortunately, I did not pick up any manga, so you will be jumping directly into the indies section or smaller publisher section, starting off with the whale that I was able to harpoon this month. And that whale is Frank Miller's Big Damn Sin City. This is from Dark Horse's colossal line. I don't know what the proper term for the line of books are, but they typically choose a select title and then publish it in a massive format, such as Colossal Conan, Colossal King Conan, Big Damn Sin City, and the recently released monster-sized Hellboy. So this is from that line at Dark Horse. For those of you that are wondering how much larger it is, here is a Marvel omnibus in comparison. So obviously we do have, I'd probably say an inch or two, probably 2 inches on the Marvel omnibus height-wise. And then obviously page count-wise, we have a big difference there. So this does obviously collect all of Frank Miller's Sin City. I did decide to go this route because those Dark Horse deluxe editions with the slipcases are $100 each, and there's, I believe, 7 of them, and that's not really the type of money that I'm willing to kind of spend at this point. I do have a little bit of buyer's regret just because this thing is so large. It is not the easiest to read, that's for sure, but I am still happy that I was able to save money. I got this from one of the friendly viewers, and I got it for a very good price, so thank you if you are watching. This is absolutely awesome to add into the collection, and I'm really excited to give it a reread and hopefully do a large Big Damn review on the entire series. But that wraps up Big Damn Sin City, so we can go ahead and move forward to the next book. Next up, which seems like a miniature book compared to the last one, this is Godzilla by James Stokoe, the deluxe edition. Very similar to Big Damn Sin City, this has a little bit of a different size compared to what we probably deem as deluxe editions. So again, bringing out X Factor for comparison. This is the size of a standard hardcover. You're not getting any extra dimensions or anything like that, so be aware if you are trying to track this down. But I have mentioned before on the channel that I am a huge fan of the Godzilla kaiju kind of world, but a lot of those reads, especially pertaining to Godzilla, are mainly collected in trade paperbacks or soft covers, and when it comes to comics, at least in my collection, I try to limit myself to hardcovers. I am more flexible with manga, but with comics, I do try to stick to hardcovers. But I am very excited that I picked this up. This does collect Half Century War, which is a very interesting story that spans obviously a half century and follows Lieutenant Oda as him and a team of pretty much kaiju hunting, monster hunting, military personnel go after Godzilla and some other familiar faces. Obviously, don't want to give away too much, but it really is a very interesting world. James Stokoe's art really lends a grittiness to it, and I think it is absolutely awesome. I highly recommend it to anyone watching that happens to like Godzilla. but it also collects Godzilla and Hell, which I think anybody can read. If you like monsters fighting, then you're going to like it because that's pretty much all it is. But that does wrap up Godzilla by James Stokoe, so we can jump to the next book. And that next book is 30 Days of Night, the deluxe edition. I believe this is a volume 1, so maybe more books to come out. I have not read this, but I am a huge fan of the movie 30 Days of Night, so I kind of got it just mainly because of the name notoriety and because it was fitting during the month of October. I was looking for some spooky reads, so I purchased it. I am very excited to get into this. I did do a brief flip through, and it does seem very similar, at least to the plot of the movie, but as far as the imagery, it is extremely gritty, bloody, everything that you'd kind of want when it comes to a vampire story. And for those of you that haven't seen the movie, this does take place in Antarctica, somewhere in the top region of America, and it does take place during the month of night. That does take place there, where the sun pretty much doesn't rise, and vampires then take over a small town, and the townsfolk are kind of left to their own devices of either dying or fighting their way out. So it is very interesting, at least the movie, and if it's anything like the movie, then I'm probably going to like this read as well. So that does wrap up 30 Days of Night, so we can head into the next book. Or should I say set of books. This is Gideon Falls Volume 1 and 2 by Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino, a very, very reputable team. Obviously, Jeff Lemire needs no introduction. He is beloved by pretty much anyone that does read comics. So I mainly got these because of, again, being in October, spooky season, and this is a horror or atmospheric horror comic book. I will be reading this and reviewing it for you guys. I want to say I read an issue or two maybe when this was coming out at some point, but I cannot tell you anything about it because I do not remember. But the art is incredible. The writing, obviously, by Lemire is incredible. And I got these for an incredible price with the DCBS covers. So I'm very excited for that, especially when it comes to this cover, which is chill-inducing itself. But very excited to add this into the indie collection. And that does wrap up Gideon Falls, so we can go ahead into the next book. Next up is We Only Find Them When They're Dead by Al Ewing and Simone DeMeo. This I actually just recently kind of finished, so a review obviously is planned to come out on the channel. The synopsis I would give for this is a little bit of a difficult one because of the timeline and kind of the way that the story is told. But the way that it was told to me that kind of hooked me in is probably the same way I'll describe it to you guys, which is space miners that are mining dead gods for resources and materials until eventually the captain of the said mining ship or autopsy ship decides that he doesn't want to only find them when they're dead. He wants to find a living god, so he goes on that adventure to try and do so. Man, does it kind of bend all over the place and tell a completely different story, but that is probably the best way that I would describe it to get you guys interested in the story. I did enjoy my reading experience. I don't think this is one that I would recommend to new comic book readers because of mainly the timeline that is explored during this particular story. It does take a little bit of, I guess, you wrapping your head around what exactly is taking place and what point of time it is, but I won't go any deeper into that because I don't want to give away any details. But it was a very good read. I did add it onto my Goodreads for anybody that does follow me on Goodreads, and I will be putting out a video review as well. But I do recommend it, especially if you are a fan of Al Ewing or even Grant Morrison, because there is some high-brow themes explored here. So if you do enjoy that, then maybe check it out. But that does wrap up We Only Find Them When They're Dead, so we will jump to the next set of books once again. As I'm home improvement peeking over the second volume, this is Lazarus by Greg Rucka and Michael Lark. We will peel down the second volume. So this I mainly picked up because of the hype from one of my Facebook groups, the OPB Jabronis. and that mainly came from Mitch at the Omnibuddy YouTube channel. He really sold me on the idea of this story and how much he enjoyed it. Therefore, it made me want to check it out. They were also for great prices as well, so I kind of wanted to dive in for any deal that I end up finding. But I have read the first volume, so I am currently reading this. It is a very, very interesting story. It pretty much takes place in a world where corporate family-like entities have taken over the world, different sections of the world, and they are pretty much ruling their property, or what they deem as their property or their territory, with a iron fist in some points, maybe other times a little bit more of a negligent fist, not exactly doing right by absolutely others, because there is a very in-depth class system where there are the higher ups, the middle, and the lower, and there is a obviously big difference between the haves and the have-nots. So it does dive deep into those themes. This is a very adult book. There's a lot of action, but there's also a lot of other themes explored as well. There's a mystery that's at hand as well during this entire read, and I very much enjoyed volume 1, and I'm very excited to dive deeper into the next volumes. But once I do, I will be putting out a review for you guys, of course, so you can look forward to that, and hopefully those of you that have read it can let me know down below if you guys are enjoying it as well, or if you enjoyed the rest of the series as much as you enjoyed the volume 1. I'd love to hear from you guys, but let's hop to the next book. This is Monsters by Barry Windsor Smith. This is another title that I have not read, but I've heard nothing but good things, very, very acclaimed things, and I am very excited to jump into it. I've heard this has notes of Captain America, Hulk, Wolverine, very reminiscent to those characters, those themes, and it's Barry Windsor Smith doing art and writing, so I am definitely going to sign up for that every single time. The book is beautiful. It has a very interesting texture to the front and back cover, or the board if you will, but I am very pumped to jump into it. It is completely in black and white, for those of you that does matter to, but it typically doesn't matter to me. I read manga, so it really can't, but I am extremely excited to jump into this. I heard it is a very, very mature and heavy read, so gotta prepare the brain for that, but I'm still pumped to jump in. And of course, once I do, I'm gonna let you guys know your thoughts. But down below, let me know your thoughts, because I am very interested in what you guys think of this particular title. But with Monsters, we are wrapping up indie slash smaller titles, so now we can jump into the big two, starting with DC. First up for DC is Batman Earth 1, volumes 2 and 3. I think in a previous haul video, I had a Earth 1 volume, and I was like, oh, I finished the Earth 1. Well, I was kind of an idiot because I didn't have volumes 2 and 3 of Batman Earth 1, so scratch that. But I am officially done with the Earth 1 set of hardcovers. Super pumped, especially when it comes to the Batman stuff, because this is by Jeff Johns, Gary Frank, probably one of my favorite teams in comics, so sign me up for that every single time. But not too much to dive into here, or I don't want to dive into much, because Batman is one of the better Earth 1 titles, but we can go ahead and jump to the next book. Next up for DC is Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead, the hardcover. The main reason that I picked this up is because this is written by Bruce Campbell, which those of you that do not know that person, he is actually the actor that played Ash during the Evil Dead and Army of Darkness series of movies. And here he is yet again on something zombie oriented, but this time he's writing a zombie focused comic book. So I'm of course going to pick that up. You guys know I love zombies. I love Berserk. I probably say that in 1.5 million videos, but I had to pick it up. It was October again. It has zombies. I enjoy it. I can't help myself. I'm sick in the head, I guess, but here I am, very excited to pick it up. I actually have not read this either, which I am very excited about because typically when it comes to the big two of DC and Marvel, there's not a whole lot of material that I haven't experienced or read, but some of this more modern or newer stuff I actually haven't, because obviously I haven't been collecting singles while I've been collecting collected editions. So very pumped to jump into this. I love zombies once again, so sign me up. But we can hop to the next book. Next up is World's Finest by Mark Waid and art by Dan Mora. This is something that I was reading in single issues, and man, is it so good. Between this and Nightwing are the two titles that DC was putting out somewhat recently. It's been a while now, but when these two kind of were coming out in single issues, those two were, every single issue was a home run. Cannot talk highly enough about it. Mark Waid just knows what he's doing with any hero, I swear. But also Dan Mora's incredible art that is cartoony, comic booky, fast-paced, momentum-filled. Man, it is so good. Cannot recommend this enough. Between World's Finest by Mark Waid, Nightwing by Tom Taylor, and the other one that I would recommend is Batman by Chip Zdarsky. Those three were incredible when they were coming out. They're now coming out in these hardcovers, so definitely try to pick those up because they are really, really good stuff. But that does wrap up World's Finest. Let's go ahead and jump into the next book. Next up is Batman Nightfall Volume 1, the Omnibus. This is the 2023 reprint. I did do a review on this omnibus, which I can leave up above. I feel like most hauls I'm saying that constantly, but because of the hiatus, a lot of these books I haven't touched and haven't filmed with, so I definitely have a large backlog to get to, and I'm very excited to get to those. But obviously, for those of you that are probably watching this channel, you've read Nightfall, you know what Nightfall's about. This is the story that has the breaking of the bat and the introduction of Bane, Bane's vengeance, a very, very, very important story. There's a Batman mantle swap that takes place and kind of goes awry. Probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, eras of Batman, next to No Man's Land. So if you did like No Man's Land, check this out. If you like this, maybe check out No Man's Land. To me, they feel very reminiscent to each other because they're both more like eras of Batman rather than actual storylines of Batman. But this is definitely the highest acclaimed Batman story that we know of, at least, because everyone knows about it, even those that don't read comics. So definitely check it out, or check out my review if you're interested. But that does wrap up my DC pickups for the month of October. So let's go ahead and jump into what I picked up from Marvel. Next up is Captain America Trial of Winter Soldier, the omnibus. This is one of the Brubaker omnibuses that kind of contains his entire run on the title of Captain America. This, I believe, is book 4 out of 5. This obviously follows Winter Soldier, Bucky, possibly filling a role that needs filled in the Marvel world during this time period, and his past kind of coming up and affecting him in a lot of ways. That was probably a poor way to tread carefully with the story, but it is really good stuff. Ed Brubaker's run on Captain America is highly acclaimed, a lot of people's favorite run on the character in general. This is the book that I needed to finish the Brubaker set, so I am extremely excited that I finally got this. This finally got reprinted because it was hard to find for a while there, but I was able to get it now that it's been reprinted. So that does complete the Captain America Brubaker set, and that makes me incredibly happy. But you can expect a review on this book because it is a recent release, so look forward to that if my reviews are something that you get excited for. But that does wrap up Captain America Trial of Winter Soldier, so let's jump to my final Marvel pickup of October. Next up is Captain Marvel Genis Val, the Omnibus by Peter David. This is a very, very interesting omnibus because I think a lot of characters kind of forget that this version of Captain Marvel exists just because we've had so many iterations of Captain Marvel, from Marvel to Monica Rambeau to Carol Danvers in more recent years. But this is the Captain Marvel that I kind of grew up reading and knowing about. This was my Captain Marvel in a lot of ways. And I'm very excited that he finally got a omnibus. He is a character that is, or has been, in the Marvel Universe for a pretty decent amount of time before picking up the mantle of Captain Marvel. He was the character of Legacy, but this also follows the character of Rick Jones because of a Shazam-like connection that he has with Janice Bell, Captain Marvel. So obviously read to find out more details on that, but it is really, really good stuff. I think the art, which I think a lot of is done by Crisscross, really, really good stuff. Very 90s though, so if you're not a 90s reader, maybe steer clear of it, but I very much enjoyed it, and if your reading taste is anything like mine, you'll probably enjoy it as well. But that does wrap up the haul. You can look forward to a review on this as well, because I'm very pumped to get that out for you guys. But let's finish up with the closing of the video. And that does wrap up today's video and today's haul. I truly appreciate you guys watching. Of course, each and every time you guys tune in and watch my hauls, my reviews, my top fives, whatever it may be, I am incredibly thankful. I love the community that we are building together. It just wows me every single time when everybody's commenting, helping each other, having dialogue with each other. I very much enjoy that. But if you are not a part of the community, hit that subscribe button to join the Illuminati. Also, if you could do me a favor and hit that thumbs up icon, because it does mean a lot to us on the channel. And if you did enjoy today's video, you can hit that bell icon. That way you can get notified anytime the channel puts out content. But once again, thank you for watching. I truly appreciate each and every one of you guys. And of course, stay nerdy.